YouTubers, Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. Is everybody so agreeable about everything? Can anybody out there negotiate on their own behalf anymore? Is everybody following the status quo like it is what it is, and there's no other ands and if justs about it? Honestly, I'm asking a really serious question. I'm very seriously undereducated. But I've lived, I've seen, I've been there. I'm one of those been there and done that guys. And what am I talking about? Now look at this. Look at this. But everybody's so agreeable on this that this needs to happen. Canada's COVID deficit soaring to $343 billion as feds warn of permanent change to the economy. This is the part right here in quotations. Permanent change to the economy. Guys, I don't know. I'm really scared of this. I don't even care what this article says. The flood of federal spending in response to the COVID pandemic and ensuing economic crisis will see the deficit soar to $343 billion this year, as officials warn the economy might never go back to normal. Right there. Now, never go back to normal as in what? I'll bet you, I want to throw something out there that's really out of left field. That they say, ooh, average families or local families can no longer invest in the stock markets anymore. It's just too dangerous and they might lose money. So we're going to protect them from investing in, I'm thinking they're going to get people like of the middle class that do have some investments that do make off of investing. I'm thinking, I'm just throwing that out there. That wouldn't be far-fetched. Right, because the feds are going to do whatever they can to protect the markets. That's why I'm so heavily... I checked my airline stock this morning. I got a ton of airline stock. After this announcement, nothing happened. At the same time, Finance Minister Bill Monroe provided an indication of a roadmap of when or how the government plans to rein in spending, but he insisted in the 168-page physical snapshot that the country remains well-positioned to handle the weight of the deficit because of historically low interest rates. That's actually working against itself right here. Wow. The lack of clarity means that there are few clues as to what Canadian taxpayers can expect down the road, either in terms of potentially higher taxes or service cuts. So we discussed a few days ago where property tax went up for a personal friend of mine, $300 a month. A month on a house. Average size home. $300 a month. That's like $1,800 every 6 months. The lack of clarity means there are few clues of Canadian taxpayers. This part right here. Service cuts. What the snapshot does not make clear is that there is a very real likelihood that Canadian economy and consumer habits may soon, if ever, return. So, does the middle class have money to go shopping anymore? Are we going to start getting these pay cards for our groceries in the mail? Because of the lack of jobs and the lack of economy that we've fallen into? Return as they were pre-COVID. But the problem is the price of housing, everything was out of reach. The middle class disappeared. It's rich and poor now in Canada, so they're kind of like throwing the whole COVID thing in there. And that the level of further spending required to spur recovery will depend on how seriously Canadians continue working on flattening the curve. Now, again, it's our fault. We need to flatten this curve. But then we had the World Health Organization come out the other day and say something completely different. That this has been cross-contaminated through our water systems since July of last year. I've been talking about July of last year a lot on this channel, to be honest with you guys. Uncertainty is inherent in any forecast. However, in the current context, uncertainty is magnified to unprecedented levels. In addition to recovery being driven by public health outcomes, it may not follow historical patterns. Crisis can have a profound impact on economies that lead to permanent change. The physical snapshot stated. Again, physical snapshot. The economy may not be able to produce the same level of goods and services even if demand returns to pre-crisis levels. Here we go here. So, how long is the government going to keep this up? Like, how long are they going to keep this up? Like, how long are they going to do this? Like, how long do they perceive in... There's more people dying of opioid overdoses. Again, I'm bringing this up again. More people dying of opioid overdoses right now on the streets, and fentanyl overdoses on the streets of Vancouver than all of BC died of COVID, right? So, continued restrictions on travel, it also noted, could impact immigration. Okay. Which could lead to slower growth. Why, with so many unemployed Canadians, do we need more immigration for the last 15 years? Why? When there's people like that can't get jobs, can't even pay off their damn student loans. Never got the jobs they were promised when they graduated. Slower growth in the workforce and employers' ability to fill key jobs and services. But they're not talking about how property taxes are going through the roof for restaurants. That $210,000 a year property tax that a small family restaurant is paying $210,000 a year in property tax. Back in 2005, they used to pay $33,000 a year in property tax. Now they're paying $210,000 a year in property tax. They're paying like $20,000. Like $20,000 a month in property tax. So how do you? I don't know. They're not weighing that, and this is before COVID, by the way. This is way before COVID. The fiscal snapshot comes after months of economic pain that has seen Canadian unemployment levels hit their highest ever levels. While national unemployment was at a record low of 5.5% in January, the COVID crisis and a nationwide shutdown led to the unemployment rate of 13.7% in May, total of 30% of the workforce either losing hours or unemployed. And this is important because, guys, this is the private work sector, not the public work sector. The public employees, public work sector, are funded by the private work sector, the mom and pops that pay the bills. Now, what's happening is governments are starting to spend more than what they're taking in, and they just keep printing money and devaluing our currency. That's, I think, what's on the agenda going forward, is could continue with finding reasons to spend, and then devaluing locals' savings, what little left. So the people waiting on the sidelines to buy a house because it was severely unaffordable, that savings might become nothing. And a lot of people are running to safe havens like gold and silver and stuff like that, right? But even if the worst may have passed, that doesn't mean the outlook is positive for business. So they're kind of admitting that the worst has passed and continue to find ways to adapt in difficult circumstances, the document warned. So what I did after this happened, this announcement, I came in and bought more, I bought airline stock, but I bought more American airline stock. I'm piling it up, just piling up the stock. Because things, I think there's going to be some sort of a government intervention correction, whether they go to negative rates or whatever. But I'm calling their bluff is what I'm doing right now. I'm doubling down and I'm tripling down. Because there's only so long they can keep this story going, right? Even without a resurgence of uncontrolled transmission, global uncertainty is likely to remain for some time. In the face of businesses have to decide when to start hiring or investing again, the snapshot stated. There is a risk that this process could be prolonged until there is more uncertainty that the virus is no longer a threat, that the global economic recovery is solidly underway. In the interim, many businesses will have to follow strict physical distancing protocols and be operating greatly to reduce capacity. So if this was such a major deal, why didn't they close the borders in December? Why didn't Canada take this serious when the Pentagon was warning Canada back in July of 2019 about what was happening? Huh? Why? Why was Canada the only country on the planet that didn't close flights in from China? I could fly to Shanghai right now, but I can't fly to Miami. Something isn't right here. How the construction business, or working in construction and building homes for foreign investors because local Canadians can't afford them, was mandatory business, was considered mandatory. It not allowed to be shut down. Who the hell's going to buy it? What local Canadian is going to go buy a house when they have no job? Why did construction be stay mandatory and all construction workers stayed working through this whole thing? I don't know. What do I know? The unprecedented economic shutdown sparked by the need to limit the spread of highly contagious virus saw the government roll out the $212 billion in spending on income replacement and scientific research, business loans, and grants to vulnerable Canadians. Among those measures was a wage subsidy, the Canadian emergency benefit of $2,000 per month for Canadians earning less than $1,000 per month because of the economic slowdown. More than 8 million Canadians have received CERB, as well as 1.2 million who had previously claimed the benefit stopped doing so in May as the lockdown measures began to ease. The government also said that in the snapshot that it will extend its wage subsidy for an unspecific amount of time beyond the most recent extension to August 29th. Oh, that's another 2 months. We will have more to say on in the very near term as we finalize those details, so how it can be used to help us get back to work. Finance Minister Bill Monroe said in a press conference on Wednesday when asked about the extension. The snapshot does not provide an estimate for the precise cost of whatever further extension is planned, but noted that the program with the first announced was earmarked at $45 billion, and in the 3-month extension, the program to August 29th upped the cost to $82.3 billion. Preliminary Budget Officer Yves said he had said that in June, the cost of these programs would create a deficit roughly of $256 billion this fiscal year alone. Officials speaking to reports on the background acknowledged that the $343 billion deficit now projected could get worse if uneven recovery forecasts in several possible future scenario models. Okay, so this thing goes on and on and on and on. It goes forever. But let's look at this here. This is what I want you to take away from this. Economy might never go back to normal. Permanent change. Now, what's the permanent change? What are we agreeing to here? What are they telling us that we're agreeing to? That's a very important question now to ask. Don't stop asking questions, guys. Always ask questions. Get to know, understand. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm going to be reading your comments later. Thanks for watching.